You're listening to the Soju Sessions, episode 72 on the SojuTalk Nation podcast feed. I'm your host, Crispy, also known as Crispy Wonton or simply just Anton. And on today's show, K-Music, every day, KME returns to the show. And we got a crazy episode coming for you guys. I record these intros after I talk to the guest, after, we go into our thing. And we talk about STAYC. So definitely a top group for each of us. We get into the We Need Love album discussion, the 3 new tracks. We talk about NewJeans. We get deep into NewJeans, guys. And then a surprise for everyone, a gift for everyone. K-Music Everyday, KME, has created a summer playlist for all of us. The link is in the description for the Spotify playlist. It is titled KME's SojuTalk Nation Beach Party 22 playlist. It is an incredible compilation of music, of his personality, of how he feels about old school music, retro, and kind of the spirit of a summer nights, a summer vibe, a summer party, warm weather, and kind of vibing and grooving with everyone. So I hope you guys enjoy. This is a monster of an episode. We talk about a lot of music, but I loved every minute of it. So I love having KME on. This was an absolute pleasure. So I hope you guys all enjoy it as well. All right, coming up, my chat with KME, K-Music every day on the Soju Sessions. Joining Soju Sessions and making his triumphant return to the show to talk about STAYC girls and kind of do a super music episode. Not just STAYC. We gotta talk about this pretty brand new group that just kind of dropped music on a dime, as well as go into some summer tracks. The music savant. The music playlist compilation genius, the one and only K-Music Everyday joins the show. Welcome to the show, sir.
Hello. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, man. Happy to have you. STAYC girls, it's going down. I think they've slowly grown and crawled into to your mind as far as a group that you've grown a lot of affection for. So I thought this is a good spot for us. We're in the middle of summertime. The weather's warm. The weather's nice, and we got a comeback from a very lovely girl group that's popping off, that gave us something that's very summery in their own special STAYC way. So let's jump into it. We've got STAYC, We Need Love, the single album, 4 tracks, 3 brand new ones. Run to You is a remix, the TAC remix, but we're just going to be talking about the new songs today. KME, what are your first impressions, initial thoughts on We Need Love by STAYC?
Overall, I liked it. It's a nice little 3-pack that they put out, but yeah, it's more of like exactly what I want from. What I mean, they've been on this good kind of trajectory, sorry, and I think Black Eyed Pilsen is just knocking it out of the park every time. So, overall thoughts, I really loved YoungLove.com. Earlier this year, as like some of my favorite B-sides ever on it. But with this one, 3 really great tracks. It's like kind of like a really good summer special, to that. So yeah, I really liked it.
Yeah. YoungLove.com was a great imprint for 2022. It was kind of STAYC saying, hey, we're here. We're going to change the game. We want all the attention this year. And Run to You definitely did that as far as kind of being that explosive start to the year. That was so long ago. That was February of this year. I hope I got that right. But it does feel like it was just yesterday, because I still listen to that song. I listen to that album all the time still. I kind of listened to that album also in preparation for the single album release. And just to kind of get myself in like the STAYC girls mood. This one comes in with a very different kind of vibe, a summer refresher, if anything. I kind of like that, like what you said about being a summer special album. It very much feels like a summer music festival in a lot of ways, drawing a lot of inspiration, at least to me, or a familiarity to Chainsmokers, Odessa, Kygo, a lot of like the EDM artists from the 2010s that kind of popularized this festival sound. And it's kind of a perfect spot for it here, like in the middle of July. I just want to name a couple of my other favorite artists. We got some Artie, Avicii, and then kind of later in the game, Cascade. So, yeah, kids, if you guys want to check out some OGs in the music festival game and EDM DJs, producers, those artists right there, those will give you a nice little sample pack of what this album makes me feel as far as being in the middle of summer. All right, well, let's get into it. KME. So we got the title track, Beautiful Monster, music video, very bright, very summery. It's got a nice little blur to it where it's a little daydreamy. What are your thoughts about the song, and how do you feel like it was paired with the music video?
So when I first heard the teaser on this one, it was kind of I think they just had the little acoustic build up to it. I was kind of wary. I was like, oh no, like this is gonna be some type of like downbeat, chill, like acoustic, almost ballad maybe. So I was like, oh, okay, maybe I don't know if this will be for me. So, but let's just wait and see. And then when it dropped and I heard it, I was like, oh, okay, this is cool at like first listen. But and I just over time, um, definitely grew on me a lot. I really love that song.
Yeah,
Yoon chorus
cut.
is like, yeah, it's like the with Yoon on the chorus is like my favorite part.
Yeah,
It's with her belting vocals. It's really good.
yeah, it's definitely a surprise, right? It's a shift in tone because it does feel like Run to You, Stereotype, and ASAP are very much a traditional K-pop sounds. Very very big, very kind of bold in a lot of ways. Even though for the most part they're kind of mellower songs, but they do have the K-pop flourishes. Where this song, it almost feels like just a Western EDM song in a lot of ways. But then there are some characteristic like STAYC sounds, right? I don't know what instrument it is, but there's kind of that bounce in the song that's like, oh yeah, that's a STAYC character right there. Like you said, I think the vocals are just always amazing, always incredible with this group. Yoon and Sheehan definitely go back and forth in that chorus. Yoon to start, belts, hits that moment, and then very seamlessly passes it along to Sheehan, right? And then she kind of finishes off the chorus. What drew me in initially is Jay. So the intro is, you got some Jay, and then the guitar comes in, and it's like kind of like an indie feel to it. And then Isa with kind of just her airy vocal quality. It's just like kind of a really nice summer vibe that kind of sets the tone in that sense. What are your thoughts about how all the different members are progressing vocally, or if for the most part they're kind of the same? Because I mean they're young kids, they've only grown so much in the past 8 months. But how do you feel like this song compares vocally to the past songs?
I think it's just kind of spot on for what they've been doing, like you said. Yeah, this group I've never had to really worry about the vocals, but and for my personal taste in music, I really don't like. I listen to a lot of artists that a lot of people would describe as like ad singers, or that at least like vocally pleasant to listen to. So vocal like prowess and that type of thing never really made my focus, but this group specifically is like when that stands out to me, I'm like, oh, okay, then it's a really, a lot of them have their own kind of color to their voices and stuff like that. That's why, uh, like I said, for me, Yoon is usually the one that stands out the most. And I think I read somewhere, like on Twitter or something, but they're saying that this song was originally like written obviously before for like Sistar or something like that. I read that somewhere. I'm not sure if that's true, but I'm like, if that's true, I could definitely hear that as like kind of a Hyoden type of belty chorus. You know what I mean? So that it definitely would make sense. So I gotta look for that verify if that's true or not.
Yeah, As you say that, now I'm starting to like really hear where Hyorin kind of fits in, especially for the chorus, right? It's a very powerful chorus. Hyorin is just very well known for that power vocal. Yoon and Sheehan do a nice job of kind of hitting that mark, but in a controlled way that's controlled for them, right? Like it never feels like they're stretching too far into that belting range, where it's just like, oh, it just like kind of perfectly sits in the sweet spot for both of them. And I feel like there is just so much like STAYC character between the two of them in that section. But what's even more interesting is the fact that I feel like every single vocalist in this group has a piece or an aspect of what is characteristically STAYC, right? I mean, you have Jay and Isa, as I mentioned, but then we have Cian, kind of in the guitar girl moment in the music video, where the beat kind of drops a little bit and it's just her and the guitar. Whether or not she's playing it, maybe she's playing it. It kind of gives it a little extra flair. Kind of sets the tone there. What are your thoughts about kind of the summery feel of this music video paired with the song? Because the song, it's an EDM track, but it almost feels like STAYC are moving into storytelling that's more indicative of like Western storytelling, right? Because it feels like a very summer teenage coming of age movie where they're in open fields, very grassy and big forest, and then they go into kind of the open lot with the film projector, right? And it just feels like a teen movie where they're kind of figuring out what it means to be in love and be kids in summertime. How does that all work for you?
Wow, that's actually that brought something into my mind that you said that, because when I was watching the music video and you know how they're in the house and there's like the little rain clouds and all that stuff, I was getting reminded of Oompa Oompa music video, which is kind of like the same thing. They're at this like little beach house or whatever, and raining, and they're kind of like definitely a summery vibe song, but um, that is very much Oompa Oompa is very much a very K-pop music video. It's kind of ridiculous. You got Bogey on the roof with the umbrella and all that stuff. Got the crazy expressions, but with this one, it's a little more grounded, a little more. You said more of like a teen movie kind of feel. You know what I mean, or a little more dramatic. Yeah, that's a very that you just kind of connected those two dots in my.
Yeah, no, I love what you said. It's very grounded, right? And I think that's kind of the strength of the visual component of this comeback, and it does match the song, right? Because it's not supposed to be this very like loud and bombastic and kind of exaggerated experience. You do want to kind of feel the emotion of what they're singing about and kind of the genre that they're in. And I don't know, man. I feel like this is just a kind of another flex for STAYC saying, hey, we can do this too, right? We've done K-pop, and now maybe it's a tease for doing something in the West, doing an all English song. I don't know, man. I just feel like the sky's the limit for this group. It's like we haven't even tapped like the surface yet of what they can really be. I mean, it's 2 years in, and it feels like they're like veterans, but they're just kids. Like you have some kids who are just like or teenagers still, like literally in high school. So, man, it's just Black Eyed Pilsen. Just I don't want to give myself expectations, but I just feel like so excited for like where this group could go moving forward. Even if this song isn't like a banger, there's qualities to the way the song was put together. We're just like, oh, this is unique. It's high quality, and it's showing more of what this group can potentially be doing in the future. So, man, just all good stuff. Any other thoughts you have on Beautiful Monster?
The only other thing is that like music video is cool, but I think my preferred way to watch it is AC is such great performers and they have so much personality. Is through they released a performance version. And I prefer to watch those rather than the music video because I like to see the whole effect of like the choreo in full. And then they have a and live. I don't know if you've seen those videos. Where they're it's usually artists or groups and they perform with a live band behind them. usually that's like there's no choreo involved. They're just performing. Brave Girls had one of my favorite ones of all time. I think maybe last year, or yeah, it should have been last year. But yeah, those are my two preferred ways to watch it because they're just so fun to watch. And the music video is cool, but I think those two videos are my preferred way to watch the performance of a song.
I love that you brought that up. So the performance video for the music video shows you the choreography in full, also the outfits in full. Definitely a yeehaw moment for the members. Really fun, yeah. Right? The band live, I totally forgot. I watched that today. I watched that with so much emotion and so much connection. Yes, I think that is my preferred way to experience STAYC because all of their songs that they've done through that channel are incredible. I mean, go back, Run to You, Stereotype, ASAP. It just all those versions. There's an ability to showcase their vocal quality that we've talked about a lot. Also their character because it's a lot more looser of a setting. And then it just plays into the live instruments, right? And I think just hearing the live instruments with live vocals, there's just something about it, right? And also shout out to the production team. Those cameras are out of control. I think it's like 8K maybe. Definitely 4K, but I think it can go up to 8K if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they're like really high.
Yeah.
That's also why I like to watch them.
Yeah, those cameras are great. No, all amazing ways to experience STAYC for sure. All right, let's move on now to track number 2 with I Like It. I get a very beach party, day party vibe from this song. Bright, summery, kind of like scorching heat, but you want to cool down by the water. What are your thoughts about this a little bit more tropical sounding STAYC song, but still in the lane of that blend of hip hop in K-pop?
Right. And I think this one, how I feel about this one, it kind of goes back to when I was first on and we talked about ASAP and type of like them having this chilling with your homies and, throwback 2000s to 90s vibe to their style. And this is exactly that kind of, what I felt with it. Has that chilling throwback sound. The melodies in this one are really, really great. Has like a really cool, I think it's Jay, or I know Jay and Sumin usually do the rap verses. But the cool thing about this is that everyone like middle gets a little bit of like a rap verse, and they all do execute it perfectly well. So in the middle of the song, there's a really cool part where they all are, usually Jay and Sumin, I think, usually handle a lot of the rap verse in most of the STAYC songs. So I really like that, the fact that they had a little section where each member kind of got their own little respective bars off. And I thought that was a cool aspect of the song that only added to the, like you were saying before, like the little throwback hip hop and kind of chilling aspect of the song. The chorus also for me was very interesting because it's kind of like a I don't know, it almost feels like there's no the whole chorus feels like a pre-chorus almost. And I even looked up like the Genius lyric, like I was like, what is the song structure of this? And then they all have I think 4 of the members have parts into the pre-chorus and the chorus. But to me, the whole thing sounds like one big pre-chorus, and then it kind of goes into a little musical drop. So it was a cool. I like that aspect of the, it's something different. That's something with these 3 songs that I really enjoyed about that. They're kind of all structurally different, and then when we move on to the next one, that's also a very different type of at least compose as regular like intro, first verse, pre-chorus, chorus, like switches those up a little bit.
Yeah, no, I love what you said about the structure of the song, right? Because, even starting, I think, with the rap section, there's a good blend of singing, rapping, with all different members kind of coming in to different sections. And then the instruments kind of pick up, but then it's not necessarily like a traditional chorus, right? That really stood out to me too. That was like a big note for this song. And I kind of like the playfulness of how that works, especially with this song specifically and how it sounds. Right, it's supposed to be a cool grooving with your homies. It's a hot summer day, but again, you're kind of by maybe the beach or the pool or somewhere where you can try to cool down. But then just things just continue to, I don't know about escalate, but just like you're just too hot to kind of be bothered, like physically, because of the heat, right? I do kind of like the musical inspirations kind of sprinkled in. There is a bit of reggae in this album, in the sense that there are steel drums, and it's not like a big part of each of the songs. It's just well, these two, I Like It and Love, both have it, where it's like in there. It kind of gets incorporated and thrown into the song, and if you hear it, then it pulls you into that reggae genre, but doesn't completely leave you there, right? It kind of goes back into what STAYC is known for: a little bit of pop, a little bit of hip hop, and a very modern take on all of those things. So I just think that's like part of like the strength of Black Eyed Peas, where they can do like these things, and just like if you are aware of it, it piques your interest, it catches your attention. But if you're not, it's just incredibly pleasant to listen to. So just amazing details with how the song is produced instrumentally, and then also how the members are just showcased and inspired through it. Any other thoughts on I Like It?
I think we mentioned the end, because the end switches up quite a bit. Is it this one, right? Where they do like the boys and girls, like this is how we do kind of thing, and it totally switches up the end of the, like the sound of the track, and I'm like, man, that was a really cool way to end it, kind of, you know, as a great grand finale type thing.
Yeah. Gosh, yeah, there's so many elements to this song. I don't think I can add any more to that aside from go listen to the song, guys, because there is, it's a B-side. It's definitely not meant to be a lead track, but there is just so much care to the detail of this production where it's like, yeah, they got a lot of resources. They got a lot of great creative people on this song, and they're really putting STAYC in a place where they can play and experiment with different types of sounds, right? So, man, that's a great call out, by the way. I forgot, and now I'm like hearing it. It's like, yeah, that's amazing. All right, move on now to track number 3, the last song that we're going to be covering on this single album with Love. This is Summer Nights for me. This is almost a city pop inspiration to it. I kind of, it opens with like this big 80s drum, but then the song itself isn't like bombastic, right? It's kind of like a synth wave. It's kind of a blend of like modern pop and city pop. And then Sumin and Sheehan kind of opening the song with like this great mellow tone setter, even that like is a great contrast to the fact that like the opener is a little bit louder, so then the song can kind of ease you into what it ultimately becomes. What are your thoughts on Love, KME?
Yeah, I think this one is my favorite of the three new songs on there. Just because, like you said, it has this kind of really cool driving. It has very much of a dance kind of 4 to the floor type continuous beat. It's funny that earlier you were mentioning about a lot of the like Avicii and a lot of the EDM kind of festival DJs and producers. And what I put in my notes was like, this is like a nice Calvin Harris kind of type summer groove. Like
I forgot about Calvin Harris. You're right.
Yeah. I was wondering, I was wondering if you're gonna say that, and I was like, okay, he didn't mention Calvin. I'll bring that in later. But yeah, it reminded me of that if there's a song he put out I don't know, probably a few years ago now, but it features I can't remember. It's like Nights or something like that. It has Frank Ocean and Migos in it, so it's kind of like but Frank Ocean's doing the hook on there, and it's like a really nice, like kind of something like this, really cool summer hip hoppy with a little bit of continuous dance beat on it. Yeah, and I love the groove on this one. This is definitely my style out of the 3 tracks on the album, and it kind of sounds to me like a perfect song that you would you would know this kind of vibe, and maybe other Californians on the server and listeners, but it reminds me of like something you would play while you're driving down PCH, the Pacific Coast Highway, maybe during that like golden hour area, time of day, when the sun's going down and you see the sun reflecting off the beach and the waves. So that's kind of when I hear this song, that's where I'm brought to, physically.
That's an amazing visual, man. God, KME, this is why I bring you on, man. You bring out like the extra level of like creativity and like unique perspective and vision of what music can become. I don't really know how much more I can add aside from I love the Calvin Harris comp. I'm mad at myself that I didn't say that earlier, but I'm glad that you got there. And it really is kind of it's strange in a way, right? Where I think retro has been typically seen as 80s synthwave. It's slowly turning into a lot of 90s music. We're getting bits and pieces of 2000s retro. Is it too early to say that this is 2010s retro?
No, I don't think so at all. Yeah, because that's very definitely that vibe, like that early, for me, like when I was doing like DJing and a lot of stuff with techno and house, that's when a lot of like the festival and EDM type stuff. So those kind of vibes were early 2010s to mid, 2010, 2015, 2014 area around there. So no, it's never too. I mean, I don't know what would you call it, retro or whatever, but it's just a little bit throwbacky, we'll say.
A little bit of throwback, yeah. We'll leave it there just so then we don't feel too old because it feels like 2010s were just yesterday, but at the same time, it's like it's 2022. We're almost at the midpoint of 2020s. It's weird, man. But I like the fact that they're kind of drawing in inspiration from like a decade ago. God, it's weird to say, but very subtly, and then also just keeping a lot of the STAYC characteristic sounds. Right? It's really hard. Well, I can't really put the words as to how to describe like that STAYC sound, but if you hear it, you hear it, right? I think it has a lot to do with the bounce, kind of the bass that they use, and then the different kind of unique qualities of the instrument and tempo that instrumentations and tempo that give it like that STAYC blend, the STAYC character, while also kind of putting it into this genre of music. And then with the other songs, just very much like playing really nice together with the different sounds. Yeah, no, STAYC Girls, it's going down. I'm the kind of person who likes a lot of music, a lot of girl groups, and I definitely plant my flag in a lot of spaces where I say they're kind of my favorites. I think if I'm thinking about it objectively with the music quality, how the performers, the girls, STAYC, are presented, and then what they have accomplished, STAYC's getting up there as far as the type of music, right? I think for me, with K-pop, a lot of it has to do with the character, what you know about them, the side content, and then music kind of follows. But I think with STAYC, it's kind of the opposite. I think I just fell in love with the music so quickly that it made it very easy to want to get to know and follow the careers of the members. So I'm not going to say yet that they're in like the top 3 or 4 favorite groups of mine, but I will say like they are music that I go back to often without like question. And I'm just like, this just puts me in a spot, right? And it makes me think a little bit extra, but also like in a very happy space with their music. Where does STAYC kind of fit for you as far as your favorite groups right now?
Right. I think very, very similar. Like you said, like they're definitely, they've been getting better and better with every release for me. And, they've built this identity around like, the sound and the whole vibe. So I'm really digging it. Just like you said, it's not really, they're on the rise on my list. So I, j- I keep like a power rankings of my favorite groups and I update it every so often. And I recently did that like not too long ago on the server in the Queens page, and um, I put on there like I have my top 5, but I put on there like STAYC is definitely on the rise, and if they keep on the trajectory that they're on, they're definitely able to crack the top 5 of my personal favorite group power ranking. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm definitely on board with that. I can't wait to see what they keep doing. Because like I was saying before with Young Love, .com. That one, like with the songs like 24/7, and they have the I can't remember the name of the song. That one's like a straight up R&B track, like not even like pop R&B, like it's a straight up R&B joint. And they have another one on there that uses elements of like the hip hop, like the drill hip hop sound, which I think they've talked about on the main show before. But yeah, I'm definitely like feeling that type of vibe. So yeah, they're on the rise for me. So just I'll definitely be keeping a lookout for that.
KME's power rankings is one of the most like anticipated things to look out for on the server. You don't know when it's gonna drop. There's no announcement. There's no ping for it. You just have to be there. And when you see it, I mean, I saw it like on happenstance, just like opened up the Queen's channel. I'm just like, oh, it's here. Yes. Then it fills me with so much joy and curiosity, right? It's like, what is he thinking? Like, how did he put these songs, how did he put these groups next to each other? It's like, I want to know his thought process. Maybe we'll do a special episode on KME's power rankings or something in the future. I kind of need that in my life. Yeah, man. No, STAYC Girls, it's going down. Love them so much. And I'm kind of glad that this album, this single album kind of exists the way it does, as again kind of a transition piece from YoungLove.com, because I feel like YoungLove.com like hit in such a way where you need a break between this and then maybe the next big hit, which probably will come out at some point next year. So yeah, I think from a marketing and strategy point of view, pretty cool. Just gotta say that they're pacing themselves, right? So all good work. All right, we're gonna do a flip here, and you know, I typically would only stick to one group when I'm doing these album discussions, these recaps. But something came out last week on a dime, dropped on a dime with no notice, no explanation. It just happened. NewJeans debuted with 3 songs, no lead up, nothing. Everyone was scrambling to find information about the members, about the group. They are from Source Hybe, and I guess Adore is the other name of the company, the umbrella, whatever situation they got going on. Just know that Hybe's on the YouTube channel. They came out with the song Attention last week. No notice. KME, first of all, what did you think about this song kind of dropping out of the sky? And then how did you feel about the response and the conversation and the buzz around this thing that just exists now?
Right. Yeah. So, I feel like we've been hearing a lot about this group and what, I remember whenever I hear the main show and they're always talking, with the news, like, oh, back then, like, oh, Hybe has hired, I don't even know if they even had the Hybe. It was maybe still Big Hit. Like, the former creative director from SM and oh my God, what's her name? Min Heejin is her name. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. It's interesting. You probably won't hear nothing about that for like a while. And then, you would hear like rumors or whatever, little updates and all that. And then, yeah, like when that dropped, even when it dropped, I saw the news, like the breaking news and the ping and all that. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like new Hybe girl group. And, I was just like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I'll check that out later. And then like, I didn't think it happened in the morning. I think I got to it by like later on, late in the afternoon. And when I listened to it, I was like, oh my God, like this is awesome. I am sold on this, because right from that first listen, the tension is just like, I don't know. I was like, wow, I was not, expecting that from, I was just kind of like, whatever, it's gonna be a new hip hop girl group. They're gonna do whatever, but I definitely was not expecting that sound and that vibe of like that, which we'll probably get more into. But yeah, it was crazy. And then I thought I was late, and then just kind of seeing everyone else being confused, like I was kind of like, oh man, did I miss like lead up to this or when they announced the teasers or whatever? And then when I was kind of looking into it, yeah, I was like, they just dropped it out of nowhere. Which I think, looking now, it's like it's pretty. It doesn't always really work, but definitely because I think it's the former creative director of SM and Hype and their new company Adore. Um, I think the fact that all that combined makes people curious. So when you see that, you're like, oh wow, I gotta check this out. What is this all about? And then yeah, it's even just snowballed because everyone's like, what is this? And then another person adds to it. Like even earlier today when we were doing the as we're recording this, it's Monday, so we were doing the votes for the show, the main show, and like I think Cora was like, oh well, everyone's voting for the new jeans song, so I guess I gotta check it out. Like, so it just kind of like it builds like a snowball effect, and yeah, it's just crazy. Like I would not expect that. So I thought that was a really cool way to roll that out.
Yeah. First of all, I felt the same. I felt like I was late to the party. I was like, "What? Did I miss something in the news?" And then everyone's like, "Oh no, nobody knows anything." It's like, "Oh, perfect. I'm actually up to date for the first time in like 10 years." No, I so I stopped what I was doing that day, and I was like, "I gotta listen to this. I gotta see what this is," because the thumbnail is very just like a pop song, right? It's just like, okay, just another K-pop song, young group, just like they're presented. But it's like, okay, there's a reason why it's breaking news. Let me just listen to it. I turn it on. We're going to get into the music later, but I was transported to my younger self. I'm a child of the 90s, child of the early 2000s. This sound has not been tapped in a long time. I will go into details of who this reminds me of, but oh my God, I was like, I remember being in my cousin's garage while he was just putting on random records of all these artists that sound similar to this. I'm just like, where am I? Not to mention the fact that like it's a very Western looking music video like presentation. So it's like I was that kid before. Maybe not as cool as these kids, but I remember being there. So just like emotionally, I was like drawn in. As far as like the marketing and strategy, this is incredible. I think if the intention was to create an extraordinary amount of buzz and people talking and doing something unique, brand new, maybe not brand new in the sense of like dropping it out of nowhere, but with respect to the fact that it's high big hit, just like this enormous company with a lot to gain but a lot to lose. The fact that it didn't seem like there was too much buildup to it, a very non-traditional, big risk, I think is kind of the underlying feel behind it. But then it works because the music I think is just so unique. I was just like, what is happening? Well, let's get into this a little bit. I do want to address this. So the conversation on the server, very vibrant, very active. I personally am the person who wants just a lot of community talk about it. Talk about it however you like, right? As long as you're not like pressuring other people to like pushing them away kind of thing, right? As long as you're kind of creating a space for everyone to freely discuss and have differing opinions. But there is the issue of the fact that one of the members is born in 2008. I'll start. So to me personally, I don't prefer it. I don't think a person who is 14, 15, 16 should actually debut as an idol. I understand a lot of the concerns. In the sense that there's a developmental period that you lose when you are a professional, specifically an entertainer at that age, right? With all that being said, it's not going to be a barrier for me to enjoy the music as long as what comes out of it is that she's generally being taken care of to the standards of what we know of Korean entertainment, right? Take that as you will. As long as like no news comes out that she is being mistreated, that she is being pulled out of school, that she's getting like 1 hour of sleep every night. Maybe she is, but at the same time, it's like I kind of have to give them the benefit of the doubt because I don't have another option because I don't want to just assume the worst in the situation, right? So with that, I understand it could exist, but I don't know that it exists. So until then, I want to try to enjoy what is presented to me directly. KME, this is a little bit of a touchy subject. It's a little heavy. What are your thoughts on kind of younger members, specifically here with NewJeans debuting?
Right. Yeah. I think I echo a lot of your sentiments on that one. Obviously it's not like a it's not anything new to K-pop. I mean, especially even with like SM and a lot of the groups that and Heejin worked with Taemin debuted like 14, 15 years old. Um, I remember since I've been a big fan of Red Velvet since like they debuted, and when Yeri joined the group, that was a big issue for a lot of people. Um, she was only 15 at the time as well, and it was like not only just like the whole like, oh, you're changing the group dynamic, but also like issues because the type of music that Red Velvet did. And so around that time, they're like, oh, this is kind of a weird concept to have a 15-year-old in with like when they were doing the automatic music video, for example, which Ice Cream Cake is a little bit, that seems a little bit more youthful, but the automatic was definitely a very more mature type of R&B type song. So um yeah, I think just like you said, as long as we don't, hear a lot of like mistreatment or whatever, that's kind of where the line is kind of you got to be drawn right there. But it's all we can do. But like you said, it's not really too much of a barrier for me. I know a lot of people are like, no, I'm not even gonna entertain checking out a group like that would do this. So, which it's you got to do what you got to do. But yeah, like you said, it's not a barrier for me, and I think um, with how the music videos have come out that I've seen, and then like the whole concept, to me, it's very much how they're handling the age thing with them. It seems like they seem like their age. They're not trying to like in the music video, like they're not trying to dress and look like they're much older than they are. Like they do look like young teenagers, which they all are ranging from like 15 or 14 to like 17, I think. And so I think that's a cool. And then like they're like crushing on boys in the Hype Boys video, and they're all also young boys. You know what I'm saying? So um, I think that's the cool thing. As long as, like I said, as long as those kind of things are handled, like if they're, if the concept is them, being their age and all that stuff. So, um, yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on it as well. So,
Yeah, no, I think I respect anyone who chooses not to listen to this group or support them. That is your prerogative. I just hope that we can have kind of an open discussion if people want to engage. I think all opinions are valid, and like you said, it's about what we know. If these are kind of the facts of the situation, then that's kind of what we can go off of, and also being depicted age appropriately, and they are. And I think for me, that's kind of enough, right? And I think I'm okay with that. Again, things can change. Life changes. It's fine. If new information comes, I'll change my mind. I'm good with that. But for the time being, I want to enjoy this music because it's kind of good. All right, let's get into the music. So they debuted, dropped on a dime. Attention. All right, I got to set the table here. When I said it brought me back to the 2000s before they were born, it immediately justified 2002, that album. Senorita, my God, like that, because the hook, right? So it's got this like jazzy hip hop feel to it. And in the hook, it's you give me butterflies, I think something like that, right? Something to that effect. Where in Senorita, kind of at the end of the song, it goes, it feels like something's heating up. Can I leave with you?
oh, yep.
And then the ladies go, I don't know, but I'm thinking about really living with you. And just like right there, it's like they were inspired by JT. It's like, God, that's so good, because I don't feel like anyone's done that yet. Maybe, I don't know. I grew up being a humongous fan of Pharrell and Chad from the Neptunes, NERD, and this is like all of that sound where it's like kind of experimental but minimalist in hip hop, some jazz inspiration, kind of blending a little bit of R&B into it, like strong vocals, especially with JT and Pharrell's collaborations over the past couple of decades. I think immediately that's where I stand with it, where it's just like the music's got me. Like without anything else, the music, it's there. What did you think about listening to this song for the first time? And just like, what were your thoughts?
Oh man, same. Um, yeah, that's crazy. You pulled that out that Neptune's early 2000s Neptune sounds, because that sound is so yeah, ubiquitous with my childhood. And yeah, just like when I heard it, I was like, and that's the thing I think I marks a good kind of throwback type of sound or concept, is that it doesn't really sound like, for me, I was like, I couldn't pinpoint exactly, well, okay, this is just a copy, like this is just a copy of this. This is just a copy of some 90s R&B song, or 2000 pop song. But I'm like, the feeling of it very much brought me right back to that time period and that sound, just what, like, music sounded like back then. And I think that's the best thing about it. Um, cool thing, when I was looking at the production notes, that when I looked at the producers, I was very, very intrigued, and it kind of clicked to me why this sound in this group. I'm like, okay, this is making a little more sense. So the producer on this track, and I think with Hype Boy and Hurt, um, is there's some production work done by a producer named 250. Um, I want to say, I'm pretty sure at some point Warren has mentioned them, or this person on the main show. But they're a producer from this kind of like a avant-garde type of hip hop label called Bana. And there's artists like Benzino on there, rapper Esense. Um, there's a rap group called XXX, which has a rapper named Kim Simya, and producer Frank, who actually is the producer on the title track we haven't heard. Which Warren brought that to my attention too, because they don't use his producer name, they use his Korean name. So it seems like they're working very closely with that label, at least, or with the producers from that label. And if you hear his music, like he just dropped a 250. I'm talking about. He dropped an album earlier this year that's really, like, it's really amazing. It's very different. It's kind of a lot of these like kooky and like goofy, like 90s 2000s sounds, like you think they would sound from like a cheap keyboard or whatever from that time period. But it's just very, very interesting stuff. So seeing him on the production credits, I was like, oh, okay, you know what, this makes, I love his music and his productions. um so it makes sense that, like, I'm digging the vibe on Attention. And um he's not unfamiliar to like the K-pop side. He did a very kind of, I don't know how popular it was, but he did a really amazing FX remix back in the day, like a few years back.
I think I came across that information when I was looking up the group. I swear I was like, FX, okay, this makes sense now. Like, oh my
Yeah,
God. Yeah.
yeah.
I think I saw that when I was looking up stuff, just like, wow, how did they put this together? Who was on this track?
Right, yeah. And I think that's like I've seen a lot of people comparing this group to FX, like it's like the new age FX kind of concept, which I believe Min Heejin was very a lot behind the sound of like FX, and like a lot of the earlier Velvet stuff, like Peekaboo. She was kind of the creative director behind that. I know she did stuff with like Shiny EXO and like um Girls Generation and all that stuff too. So yeah, man, I don't know. It's just like you said, when I heard this, I think the first thing I was like, okay. At first I was like, wait. You know how in the music video it starts and it's like a little skit with like their kids meeting at a concert or something like that. And I was kind of like, oh, okay, this is a little long. I just kind of, let me skip a little ahead, and then I skipped to like the middle of the song, and I was like, wait, what is going on here? I was like, what happened here? And so I skipped back, and I was like, let me see how this started. And then when it just started, I was just like, dude, I'm sold. I'm sold. Like, whatever this group is going to do, like I'm in. Because I just like, I love that sound so much. So I think it's cool because for like, for us, this is very much, it's nostalgic, because we grew up in this time period with this sound. And I think that's the cool thing with like, maybe I guess with kids their age, like the girls in the group, that maybe I think that aesthetic and um that sound and that style is all kind of coming back. Like, when we were kids in the 90s, a lot of people were down with like, oh, like I remember my sister wearing bell bottoms. Like, those came back for a little while in the 90s, and then like, oh yeah, now that's like I remember my dad telling, like, dude, we used to wear that like in the 70s, and so stuff always comes back around. So I think it's cool. Like it's a cool time period because it's for us, it's nostalgic, and for them, it's kind of like a new throwback type of aesthetic vibe. Something like a little bit different.
Yeah. Oh, God, just like trends in history, right? Like life is cyclical. Things kind of come back around. Yeah, no. I don't know what else we can say about the song. It's kind of crazy, right? It's really hit me in a way that I didn't expect. I don't remember the last time K-pop or just like anything was just so surprising that I kind of received so easily, kind of thing, right? Just it's a lot of marks as far as like you said, nostalgia for us, but then for the kids, it's like, oh, this is fashion, this is it, this is trendy. All right, it's cool. It makes us feel cool, then it's all you need, right?
Hey cool kids.
Hey cool kids.
What was that meme with like Steve Buscemi? That one was like, hey.
I am. What does he say? Like I'm a kid too, or something like that.
Like hello
children.
Hello fellow children.
Yeah. God, Steve Buscemi. I guess we're Steve Buscemi in this situation. That's cool.
Yeah. And also like going back to earlier when we were talking about the STAYC performance video, they did actually drop a performance video for this song too. And one thing I love about the choreo and all these, or at least this one and Hype Boy, so there very much is like a, they're doing like it is choreographed, of course, right? But the way it's choreographed, I don't know, it looks almost like chaotic, like they're all almost doing their own thing, and then they kind of jump back in together and they do like a synchronized move, and then they break off and they're all doing like separate moves. And I noticed, and I don't know if it's because their age or if it's intentional, but it seems like they're not very, a lot of K-pop is just very, has to be 100% on point, boom, boom, synchronized. This move right here. But it seems like they're all kind of loosely doing their own thing with each move that they're doing. And I thought that was really cool that maybe, I'm hoping that's kind of intentional. I have to imagine because it's kind of like, do the choreo like how we set it up. But add your own little flair to it, so it brings out their personalities a little bit into the choreo. So that was another thing I really loved about the song in particular with the performance video, and then with the we see a little bit of choreo too in the Hype Boy music videos also.
I'm so glad I have you on the show because I think I was just so amazed by just everything that we talked about that I skipped over my own notes to talk about the choreo. I have a lot of notes. Everything you said on point. To kind of add on to it, to me, I feel like this group specifically is being shaped for the Western audience, the Western market. One, the style of music. Two, the settings. This is a very diverse cast in this music video as well as the other music videos. It feels like this was shot in LA. It feels like this could be the set of a teen movie or TV show, right? Riverdale, right? Just throw the kids in there, fit right in. The choreography is very Western hip hop. So like you said, a lot of flair, a lot of freestyle, a lot of power poses. But then between a lot of the things that are supposed to be like K-pop choreographed, a lot of loose ad-lib, right? And that's very indicative of like hip hop here in the United States as far as kind of giving space for the performers to, I guess, like fill in the music themselves and then jump back into the choreography. It feels very unique for K-pop because K-pop, like you said, everything's very calculated. Everything's boom, 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 hit every mark. And then with like some room for freestyle, where this, it's like, it feels like the freestyle is like baked into so many of the spots in the choreography. So, I mean, just to kind of expand on that, it does feel like this group might just be like, hey, this is going to the United States. This may not actually just be for Korea. And we don't know the plans. I'm just assuming, but I would not be surprised if this actually works in the United States. And we'll get into it later with the other songs, but there's a lot of English in these lyrics. Anything else you want to close on for attention?
No, we can move on to the next one.
Yeah, so we got Hype Boy. Very interesting release structure for this. So we got the introduction like sample, and then we get a video from Minji, Hani, Haein, I think I'm pronouncing her correctly, and then the last one is Danielle and Herin. It's essentially the same song performed in 4 different points of view. Pretty interesting, like, artistic and creative direction. Kind of shot like a movie in a lot of ways, different perspectives. And then very much like Gen Z technology at its like peak powers, right? Everything from like looking at the text screen to like watching YouTube videos, and then like learning how to dance and learning how to flirt through like the internet. Well, let's start with the music. How do you feel about the song being kind of a continuation to like the R&B that we got for the attention, but being, I think, a lot more playful than that first song. What are your thoughts on Hype Boy?
Yeah, I think it's definitely I think that's the cool thing I've liked about this group is that they seem to be committed to a certain aesthetic and sound. And this definitely falls in line. Like, yeah, it definitely sounds like a sequel to Attention. And yeah, it has that kind of like almost like, I think they described it as like a Moombaton type of track, which it does have that kind of those kind of elements, the little kind of staggered beat. Um, yeah, that's I don't know. It's just like, man, it was the same thing. I was like, man, I'm hearing this. I'm like, dude, I'm sold. Like, it's crazy. Like, I can't, like, it's 2 for 2 once I heard this. And then I didn't even, I barely got like deep dived. I created the NewJeans thread in the server. And so in there, I was talking with Ellie, and I think Joka was in there. Um, and we were just kind of like, I was like, okay, I haven't deep dived. I was just listening to the music video, like I had them in the background playing, but I didn't really sit down and watch the music videos and kind of see what. And then I was like, oh wow, there is like an actual kind of through line going in through like almost kind of like light lore, I guess. And that's also like a marker for me too, where I'm like invested like already, and I'm like interested in the look because lore. I'm like with like Doug, like how he says, like, I don't care. I really don't care about like lore and all that stuff. Like, I'm a big Luna fan, and I've never really delved deep into that.
You're the same, sir.
Yeah. And I was like,
I love Luna. I have no idea what's happening.
Right. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, it's moons, and I don't know. I just, it's just too much. I'm like, I just want to enjoy the music, and if there's if you enjoy that aspect, that's cool that it's there for you. But with this one, I was like, oh, actually interested. Like, okay, the tension. It's like, the whole thing is like, oh, I'm getting I want the attention of my crush and all that stuff like that. And then it kind of moves into Hype Boy, which is actually a kind of
it's like what happens when you get your crush, right?
Right,
I gotta learn how to be like a kid in a relationship. Well, what is this? And then internet, school, technology, hallways. What do I do?
Exactly. And then once I was watching each music video, I was like, oh, this is cool. It's kind of like, yeah, these different perspectives of like, at what that feels like. Oh, you're getting to know this person, and then it turns out not to be like what you thought it was or whatever like that. So I thought that was a really cool aspect, and like I said, it brings me back to those times, and you're just unsure of what, like, oh, you're everything like that stuff is new, so you don't really know how it works or how to respond, or how you don't know how to properly act, or what. Um, some would say maybe you never even know.
True.
But, yeah, because but it's I was like, it's really cool that that's part of the concept, and like I said earlier, going back to it, like, I love that they're baking in, like, they're not pretending they're a different age group or whatever. Like, this is what they are, and I think that only just like makes me more interested. Like, okay, this is cool. Like, it seems like they have a solid idea and concept for this. So I'm on board 100%.
Awkward growing pains of being a teenager.
Right.
I don't know if it's like PTSD and just like remembering all of my awkward growing pains. I will say I never dressed this cool. From the men in this music video, the boys, it's like those kids are kind of cool. Like even the guy with in the all white with the mask, it's like, oh, he's kind of mysterious. He's a dancer. It's like, what was that? I don't know anyone who looks like that. But like you said, I think it does take a lot of perspectives using the same song, right? I think that's what's really cool about like the experience. The song is great. I like what you said about the Moombathon. I did hear some elements of future bass. I'm a sucker for future bass, so give me some more.
Right.
And then also all of it like kind of peeking at the choreography at the poolside, right? So very much in the world of a music video. But well, I like what we said about lore, but it feels like it's almost creating like a television series. right? I feel like these are elements of something I could see on TV, right? Like I mentioned Riverdale, but I mean, you could throw in like Gossip Girl from like the early 2000s. God, I'm like aging myself. It's totally fine. I hesitate to mention this show, so I'm not going to say it's a more recent show on HBO Max. I will not mention it because I don't want to like make that comparison. But I would say this is the lighter, definitely PG-13 version of that. And like you said, age appropriate. I think that's what helps a lot. It's just like, yes, the kids are supposed to be doing this at this age. Yes, they're at a party, but guess what? The party's actually kind of clean. You know, it's like this kid's like drinking Slurpees with lime in it. It's like, that's kind of cool. Right? I could be down with that. It doesn't make me feel weird, right? I feel like, okay, this is fine. Like if these were my, God, this is going to sound like I'm old. My daughters, I'm okay if they go to this party. I feel like I know all the kids. I know their parents. Good. Go party, have fun, and then be home by 9. We're good. All right, let's move on now to the last song they released, Hurt, a vibey kind of slow down love song. Lyrically, it's really about so it's almost like a 3-act play, right? So you got the attention where you make your first impressions, your first meeting with the person that you're interested in, and then you court that person and you trying to learn how to like get in that relationship and do the thing about like being a teenager and just trying to, you know, be boyfriend and girlfriend, you know, with the hype boy. But then the relationship ends and you're hurt. It's just a slow down, mellow song. What did you think about them going into this direction kind of for the final act of this little introduction for the group? And what did you think about, I guess, the song quality? Because it's just a really mellow R&B song compared to the first 2 songs.
Yeah, and in terms of the sound, I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, this is another cool thing. I'm like, this is all calculated where it's like, now, okay, now we'll give you this slow down R&B ballad almost, and kind of it really kind of more showcases their vocal qualities. And music video is very minimalistic. It's kind of just them, like their faces on there and all that. So yeah, I think that's cool. And like you said, it's like they're building this through line. So it only just makes me out. When I heard that, I was like, okay, 3 for 3. Like, you showed me, you know, the initial kind of, you know, you got my attention with attention, and then Hype Boy kind of like, okay, now you're giving us the K-pop aspect too of like the, you know, music video with the story and all that, like, and now with the Hurt, it's very much an aspect of K-pop too, is like the slow down ballad that, you know, every group has a ballad track on their album or whatever. And yeah, so like they're hitting all the they're hitting all the marks, man. And just Hurt is definitely the one I haven't, it's the latest one that got released, and so it's the one I haven't listened to the most, or I've listened to it the least. But yeah, I'm just like, I wish these songs were like, I wish they were putting them out on streaming already, because I've just been listening to them like what the music videos playing on YouTube or whatever. But I'm like, man, I just want to keep like listening to the song because the songs are so good. So yeah, 3 for 3, man. Like, and I think it's a good proof too in terms of the production style that like less is more, right? I know Warren brings this up a lot too on the main show, and it's like I'm always like, yes, please, like, you know, with a lot of K-pop, it's they, especially nowadays with a lot of new groups and stuff, like they're just throwing everything like at the kitchen sink, and even with like Red Velvet, like they've done that with Zimzalabim and all that stuff. So it's very nice to get like a very, you know, grounded and or I guess relatable type of sound that is like, okay, yeah, this is like, I don't have to go crazy or like have my mind like um blown. Like I think a lot of K-pop is just very like just throwing stimulation at your brain. Like you're just like, and like, and the music videos have to be colorful and bright, you know. And this is very much the antithesis of that, which can maybe, I don't know, I have a kind of a theory of with like the creative director that left SM. I don't know if you want to get into that, but I very much feel like it's a reaction to like, say, an aespa. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'll just throw in very opposite from K-pop in the sense that it doesn't shock the system. If anything, it kind of comforts the system to kind of be like, hey,
Right.
this is where music used to be in the West, at least. Let's bring it over to Korea, kind of almost an unfiltered version of it. Kind of going in a time machine and bringing it forward is what I feel about these three songs. And this kind of being an end cap with a very minimal music video. It's literally just tight shots on their face. It's just like, okay, I guess we're just doing this. The members are in the same shot. You don't see them because they're like layered on top of each other. Like, and it's their face, right? So I think, again, it's just very memorable. With just, like you said, doing a lot with a little. But let's get into your theory. So what are your thoughts on the fact that it is the creative director, the former creative director of SM, coming in and doing a sound that is very opposite of what K-pop is right now? And what are your thoughts on it being the contrast to aespa?
Yeah. So what I was kind of thinking, I was like, okay, so she left SM, I believe, in 2019. And that's around a lot of time. Like 2018 was when the NCT had their big 2018 group album and all that stuff. And I think it's just, to me, I was like, it's kind of very clear that she was like maybe Lee Soo Man or whoever is pulling the strings at SM in terms of the direction of the sound that all the groups are going in with, like even with like Super M and all that. It's all seem to go towards this futuristic kind of and Lee Soo Man seems to have like an obsession with the MCU and like building like some type of Marvel universe, and that's very clear with like the Kwangia stuff and all that. So I think maybe that was kind of like, I think for her she was like, nah, that's kind of not my vibe. I all her stuff in the previous work is very much like I said, like we were talking about, grounded, more relatable type stuff and more throwbacky a little bit. And so I think she was just like, okay, well, you know what, I'll go ahead and do this over here and do in a different direction, and which is kind of like sticking in her direction while SM is going in one direction. So I think it's kind of it's very intentional that she's like, no, it's cool to have like groups like aespa with all the lore and the Kwangia stuff, and they have that show that they do is really well produced, and it's almost like a Marvel movie. It's really crazy, but like I said, with a lot of aespa sounds, and the songs are all kind of noises, and even with the songs, the lore is kind of built into it. So that's always an aspect of it. So I think maybe she was just like, no, let me just do the complete opposite of that. And that's what maybe, like there's a market for this. The people want this. They get plenty of the MCU and all that stuff. So let me, there's a hole that needs to be filled with this kind of sound and just kind of grounded, regular kind of relatable stuff for at least kids. So cool to have that. Like to me, it's like you can have the Marvel movies, then you also have the A24s. You know what I mean? So that's kind of my theory. Like, I was just like, oh, it seems like very clear. She was like, nah, I'm not feeling the neo culture technology future of SM, and I'm gonna go here, and obviously that's the cool thing about Hybe is that what they're doing with is very different than the traditional big three. Is that they're kind of just having an umbrella type thing and letting getting smaller companies underneath them, and then just letting those companies kind of do their own thing, which is really cool. SM kind of has subsidiary labels like that, but they're not prominent as like Source or now with Ador, some of the ones that Hybe has partnered with, or Zico's label, for example. So that's kind of my little, I guess, theory, you could say.
It's an amazing theory. I think the crux of it all, the thesis, I guess, is what I kind of arrived at, is there's a market inefficiency right now in K-pop, in entertainment. And things that are coming out of Korea specifically are just very loud, bombastic, almost a typical repackage of the things we've known about K-pop for the past decade. It's just with SM, they had the resources to say, we're going to take all of that and put it in the metaverse, which on
Right.
one hand, sounds great to investors, great to technology enthusiasts, interesting to people for the most part. I don't think it affects us yet because I don't know what the metaverse is. If you live in it, great. Tell me what it's like. I'd like to know. And Hype said, we're going to go the opposite direction because everyone's so obsessed with technology. How do we do something that stands out but is also grounded, right? Doing the contrast to what you said. So the market gap right now is let's. It feels like people have, maybe not people, but it feels like K-pop took a hit definitely over the pandemic of going into the Western markets. And Hybe and their long-term plan has always been to penetrate the Western market. So instead of doubling, tripling down into technology, let's just see what worked back in the day, take those sounds, take the presentation, and do that with NewJeans. And it does feel like, I mean, I said this already, but it does feel like we're in a time machine. Like they took this group from 2002 and put it here in 2022. And people are nostalgic, like the old heads. But then for the kids who are maybe so inundated by stimulation, like you said, it's refreshing to see something that is a little bit more real, like a lot more realism to it than all the things that we get from K-pop. So I think you got something there with your theory, with your hypothesis to test out, sir. So I feel very confident that you should just be the creative director of SojuTalk Entertainment, and that we can go ahead and debut a group next year with your musical prowess. Thank you, sir. Warren, Doug, get on this. You need KME. I could be the intern. I'll get you guys coffee. I got you. No worries. All right. KME, amazing. In-depth discussion on NewJeans. God, these 3 songs, man. Just something else. I don't, like I said, I wouldn't typically go into like this much depth when a group like STAYC comes out, but it's the music. I think that's where it all starts for us, right? So amazing stuff. All right, we've got a bonus segment. I know we're running long, but we're just gonna go into it. We're gonna triple down. I have KME. You know, he's a very a man full of lore, I guess, on the server. You know, he's a little bit of a mystery, but at the same time, he has such a great impact on so many people, very subtly, with his music recommendations, his own channel, the KME Rex. KME K Rex channel. I am so sorry, guys. That I got a special segment for him. So I asked him to create a summer playlist of 10 tracks. He was kind enough to whip that up, send it to me just a few days ago, titled it SojuTalk Nation Beach Party 22 playlist. And we're going to go through it. We've guys, this playlist is fire. First of all, musically amazing. Second of all, KME told me this before we started recording. If you want to peek into his personality, into his character, this is the one. This gets into you. And surprise, well, maybe not surprised, but in addition, it's very much my character too. I just like vibed with everything. All right, KME, let's do this. I'm going to run through the playlist 1 through 10, and then we'll break it down. All right, so track number 1, of Coco. Did I pronounce that correctly? Of Coco, yeah, Ice Cream. Track number 2, Rad Museum, Dean Lehigh with Offline. Track number 3, Bronze and Lehigh, Ondo. Track number 4, Red Velvet with Bambaleo. Track number 5, Oh My Girl with Blink. That one right there.
Yep.
Track number 6, Boy Cold, Sokodomo, PH1, and Bio with Salad Day. Track number 7, Paul Blanco featuring Bio, Summer. Track number 8, Say and Colden, Summer in Love. Track number 9, Summer Cake with Targetto. Track number 10, Japanese Breakfast with Soyun. Be Sweet, the Korean version. All right, so I've kind of mentally wrapped my head around kind of the construction of this playlist. So I'll say the first section between Ice Cream, Offline, and Ondo, and Bambaleo too. I'll throw Bambaleo into there. So the first 4 songs, retro, city pop inspired. Take me through your thoughts. How did you decide on kind of the order? And what were the feelings that you wanted to evoke introducing people to this vibe in a playlist?
Sure. So yeah, I'm glad you picked up on it because I did very intentionally kind of group them together. That's something I like to do with mixes and all that. So the first couple track, yeah, the first two tracks of Coco's Ice Cream and Rad Museum, they're more of like a upbeat kind of um groovy type beats. So with like of Coco's Ice Cream, that's like the epitome of like a summer groove to me. Um, and it's like we talked about earlier with like Stacy's Love, it's very much giving that type of same energy for me. And that's with Of Coco. I've followed her for years now. She's been mainly through SoundCloud, but this is like her staple sound. So if you like this sound, back to any of her tracks. She has a lot of stuff on like Spotify now too. And she did release a EP last year that um was mainly, it was kind of like half new tracks, half like remasters of some of her old like SoundCloud stuff. Just want everyone to go check because she's really great, and she's one of the lesser known artists. So if you like the sound of it, her other stuff's definitely like that too. And then like the subject matter with that one too is kind of the same thing, like ice cream, summer. Her, I think with the translations I've seen, it was kind of like a almost like summer fling type vibe. And it's like, oh yeah, we gotta, it's like ice cream is very sweet, and we're both enjoying this, but it's hot and it's the summer and it's slowly melting away, so we got to take advantage, and enjoy it while we can. So yeah, with those first two tracks like that, and then like I said, I put the two after Rad Museums offline. I put Bronze Ondo and RV Bambaleo, which are two obviously very very much city pop tracks. So that kind of tones it keeps the same vibe, but tones it down to the little city pop beat. And then we go into like full party mode with oh My Girl.
Yeah.
and yeah, that's like a 70s kind of like disco type track, and that brings up the mood a little bit.
Yeah. God, I amazed about the construction of this. All right, so let's go. I'm gonna respond really quickly and just how I feel. So that Of Coco Ice Cream, excuse me, introduction, that bass line is just so incredibly impactful, and it just like boom, it kind of lifts you into like her vocal shine, right? It's like, oh, I've never heard this person before. I kind of love her, like everything about her. It's just very settling of the nerves, right? The Rad Museum Dean Lehigh song Offline, I've been on that one for a minute. It's my weird hipster song that also is a person that I love very much. Lehigh, hi, can we hang out one day eventually? Space travel, like, oh my god, like what is like this like very futuristic aesthetic with a little bit of 80s synth. The offline part, it's just like I'm traveling through space with everything that's happening here. And then Lehigh actually comes in later in the song, and she just like, it feels like the song pauses just for her. Thank you so much. Bronze, Lehigh, Ondo. It feels like it's more of a Lehigh song. It's mostly her, right?
Yeah. So Bronze is a producer.
Got it.
And so he does a lot of like, he's actually very much known for the city pop. This is off of his latest album called Skyline, and it's like the third in a trilogy of just pure city pop songs. So he has first one's called East Shore, and then Aquarium, and then this is the latest one. So yeah, it's all city pop type tracks. So
if you know Lehigh, this is her only city pop song that I know of. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Perfect. She's perfect on it.
It's amazing. She the way that she compliments like in the bass line, because she does have a little bit of a jazzy nature to her, the way she sings, a little bit raspy, but then it just has that 80s like energy into it. It's like, oh my dude, it's like right. Very warm summer nights is kind of the feeling for this song. Ondo, I think, translates to temperature, if I'm not mistaken. So it's very much playing with this idea of things heating up during the summertime. Bambalea, we gotta talk about real quick because this is my favorite song on that album. My god. I love Red Velvet. I love the way that they have just like this breathy energy to the song. It blends really well with city pop, and then right into the signature harmonies on top of the guitar. It's just like, man, this is like peak Red Velvet. Or overall, what are your thoughts? Just like, how does Red Velvet and Bamboleo make you feel, KME? Give me everything.
Oh, it's perfect. It's perfect. Of course, as we spoke on before, you had me on for that album review, and they're my favorite group of all time. So, of course, I was like, you know what? You told me to make a playlist that's very much my favorite summer tracks, and when I initially made it, I was actually putting like some older stuff, and I was like, this is kind of stuff I've been listening to recently, but it's not from this year. And I was like, no, I need to keep it like all songs that have come out. So these are all new songs that have come out this year, at various times. But yeah, and I was like, okay, perfect. Like, Red Velvet, off of Feel My Rhythm, like that Bombaleo city pop track, like it's just, and to me, when I hear city pop, I just automatically think of like summer. So I was like, yeah, it was automatic. Like that Red Velvet's my favorite group. City pop's the summer vibe, so automatically in there.
Just beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. You switch it up right in the middle of the playlist with Oh My Girl Blink. Oh My Girl is just like, it has a soft spot in my heart, just like forever. This song, I said this when I initially did the album review, that I think it could have been the title track, with a little bit of things changed in the chorus. I have been listening to this song since then, listening to the song on this playlist. The only thing that's changed is that I don't think anything should be changed on this song. I think it actually could have just been the title track. It's fantastic. Again, old head. I think it's inspired or sampled from the Emotions song "Best of My Love." The got the best of my love.
Yeah, that's it. I literally have that in my notes. That Emotions, yeah. Or well, I was thinking like Earth, Wind and Fire type 70s disco, or what's it called? Anita Ward. She had that song "Ring My Bell." Yeah, that type of, yeah, exactly. And I had Emotions, Best of My Love. That's exactly.
Yeah, man. And we'll go into it. So this is 70s retro. How did Oh My Girl capture the 70s so well, but also giving it a very modern K-pop flair to it?
Yeah, I don't know. Like when I heard this album, to be honest with you, I'm right there with you. Like, I mean, I think this would have been a great title track, because to be honest with you, I barely remember the title track off that album, because I was so just like all about this. When I heard this, I was like, oh, what? Like, I don't think I've ever really heard, and it goes back to what we were speaking of on with NewJeans, where I'm like, it's not anything new for K-pop to do like a 70s theme, but it's always kind of like I said before, like imitation, or like, just like like just a girls' generation song that's very like 70s kind of inspired. But yeah, whenever they do like the 70s or like that type of sound, it's very much like, yeah, we're doing like that. It's very much like, oh yeah, that style. But this is like literally could have been a disco track from the 70s. And that's why I was so drawn to it. And to me, that sound and that fun that comes with it is very much says, summer to me. And kind of what I was thinking, like I titled the playlist a beach party. So I was thinking the first few songs and that sound is like the drive to the beach and getting there and setting up. And then right when this song comes on, that's where the party starts. You know what I mean? This is like the party starter when you're, have all your friends and you're on the beach and you're drinking and partying. And this is the one that gets everyone kind of moving. And after everything's all said and done, and then that's where it kind of goes from there.
One of the strongest B-sides of the year. It's a big statement, but my God, I love the song so much. Like, if you're a kind of person who just likes retro, first of all, and then wants to hear kind of a spin on it that is unexpected from Oh My Girl, this is it. They do some things with the song that I don't think they've done in past songs. The vocal quality, the harmonizing, the chanty nature of the song, the chants in the middle of it. It's like, what is, like, who are these girls?
Yeah. Like my favorite part is like, and you know this, my bias in Oh My Girl is Mimi. And so when she's doing the like from London to Chicago, like, dude, like, yeah.
So
That's like my
cool.
favorite part. Yeah, and then the vocals too. Like, oh my god, like I don't know who it is. They're doing those like crazy, like almost like a 70s disco, like those vocal runs, and
Mm.
I want to say it's Yua who does a lot of
Yes,
those.
it's crazy
Yeah,
because so Yua kind of starts it off, and she's not necessarily known for that style. And I think Sungi comes in a little bit, but it's pretty much a collaboration in that section between the two of them, which is like,
yeah,
Yua's doing this? It's like, what?
right.
Yeah. Oh man, got it.
Awesome.
So we can just keep going, but we gotta move on. All right, track number 6, Boy Cold, Sokodomo, PH1, Bia with Salad Day. So we're at the beach, and now we got the barbecue going, and we got some cheese. We got some, it's Friday, so we just got our paychecks. We wanna show wealth and prosperity and share with our friends. What are your feelings about Salad Days? Salad Day.
Yeah, so this one is definitely like I said, continuing that retro throwback. Um, in the '90s, there was a lot of like party hip hop songs, and to me, this is that one. And from what I read when they were promoting like the teasers to this song, is that Salad Days is like a I've never heard of this expression. I don't know if it's a Korean thing, but it's kind of like an expression of like your youth. I don't know.
Oh.
When things were simpler at times, and that's why kind of the lyrics of the song are about that, like reminiscing of your youth and when things were simpler and easier, and you just wanted to have fun. Yeah, I never heard of that expression before. I don't know if yeah. So that's kind of why I felt, but you can feel that, you feel that when you hear the song. It's very much upbeat. PH1 very much fits that type of vibe. He puts out songs like that, summery, fun vibe songs. Sokodomo is like he's a bit of a weirdo rapper, and he fits in perfectly. He does his own thing. He has his own character, and Bo is very much a guy he's perfect. He's perfect for these summer tracks, and he's on the next track also as well but he blew up a little bit last year from Showing the Money, and his song Counting Stars that he performed on there went viral and was like the number one song all over Korea. Then also, I guess with that too, Sokodomo had a song called Merry Go Round that was very much that was like a same vibe, like this reminiscent kind of fun hip hop, like reminiscing on your childhood type thing, and that went viral as well. So that type of sound and like energy very much is like very it hits with the Korean crowd at least. So I wanted to have like this is cool to have disco and city pop and all that, but with when I grew up, hip hop was very much like the thing you would hear at parties, and so especially this time, I wanted to get like a hip hop type of summer song basically. So that's where this one fits in, and it goes into the OMG like party section of this.
Yeah, no, it works because I think you have the summer playlist where you want to you're in the 90s. We thought we were trying to be cool by throwing in all the 70s and disco and retro and the Motown music, right? Just like I'm cultured. Like I learned about this a little bit in school, and I found a way to burn a CD. And then all of a sudden it's like, hey guys, we're young people. We got this new hip hop song. Can we put this album on the CD player, please? And that's what this is. It's just like a reminder. It's like, hey, we gotta live in the present moment, which is this hip hop song. Like it's present for the 90s, early 2000s. Great inclusion, man. That's a fun one. I will say that. That's a really fun one. And then we get into track 7, 8, 9. I'll run through it real quick. So Paul Blanco featuring B.O. Summer, Say, Colden, Summer in Love, Summer Cake, Targetto. These are kind of slow down songs, a little sad, a little sad boy summer going on. What are your thoughts? And what was your thought process putting these 3 songs in the second half of the playlist?
Yeah, so you hit it right on the head. Like this is like the I made this like the summer love type section. So with like the Paul Blanco summer song featuring Bo is very much about that's like if you listen to the lyrics, the song is kind of pretty upbeat, and it's kind of about a guy that like broke up with his girl and is just very lonely in the summertime. But the song starts off like, "Oh, I don't need you. Like, whatever. I can make it on my own." And then like by the end of it, he's like, "No, please don't. I don't want to see you with anyone else. I need you back. Kind of like that side type of, and it's, basically of like a summer fling type thing. Um with, let's see, and then yeah, same, it's kind of the same thing. It's Targetto is Summer Cake. Um I won't go too much into her, but she's definitely on my list of best new artists for this year. Um, she's not new whatsoever, but this year is very much her kind of coming out as a new. She used to be in a duo back in the day called High Color, and it was very much just like a ballad. Uh, one of those almost like a Davichi or kind of like that, but it didn't really last long. And then she went out as a soloist called under the name Classy. But then she recently moved towards this fully towards like an R&B fun type vibe. And she changed her name to Summer Cake, which came out last year. But this year she's been putting out a lot of this stuff. And this song is actually a collab with a Korean fashion brand called Targetto. Like she incorporated the name of the brand into the song, and it's basically like a flirty
cross promotion, man. Just gotta get
exactly
get exposure. Yeah, feeling it.
Yeah, and like, did you think this was like basically like a CF song when you heard it?
I didn't. I had no idea about the history of this song. Because it doesn't sound like a typical CF song. It's got some jazz to it. It feels a little 90s in the way it opens. And then I think her voice really captured me. Very unique. It's got like an airy quality to it, but also kind of a lower tone, which is a nice like contrast, right? It's just very interesting, right? A very interesting voice.
Right. Perfect. Yeah, exactly. So that's the thing I love about it. It's like, man, like this is a very cool, nice, summer flirty song. And she's kind of using that as the brand, like, oh, you're my targetto, like you're my target that I'm going after. And then with Say and Cold, it's this, summer and love song. It's just about, summer love type of thing. So that's definitely the section. So I'm thinking like, hey, you're at the party, you meet someone or whatever you're into, and you're like, oh yeah, cool, and chatting it up, and you're just the summer vibes and the summer love kind of kicks in there. So that's this section.
Yeah, that Say song. I've been on that one for a little bit, for maybe a little longer than I'd like to admit, because it's got me feeling a kind of way. It's just like emotions.
It's very
summer,
moody,
right?
Yeah.
It's it's a fine summer song in the sense that sometimes you just have to feel emotions. I wrote down in quotes, this is this summer in love, kind of like the syllable play. It just, Say can do no wrong. Even though she's kind of known for like kind of strange hip hop production, her music itself is like very specifically in the genre, right? So, gosh, she's so talented. It's ridiculous. If she didn't want to do music anymore, she could just be a model. My God. If you guys don't know what she looks like, look her up on Instagram. She's wild. All right. Our last song, track number 10, the finale, Japanese Breakfast, featuring Soyu and Be Sweet to Me. The Korean version. This all right, this is like the KME character stamp of the entire playlist. If you don't know Japanese Breakfast, she's an amazing artist. She performs as a group, but she herself, Michelle Zauner, the front woman, Korean American, amazing story, and it definitely plays into her music. This song, to me, felt like I was watching one of those period piece movies or TV shows, kind of like it takes you back in the 70s and 80s when Asia was transitioning from like occupation to wartime. You have military servicemen still living in different parts of Asia, whether that's Korea or Southeast Asia. And you have that like smoky bar aesthetic where it's just like, like it's just kind of like a really warm, muggy summer night in Asia. But then she sings a song in Korean and it adds like a level of, I don't know, like emotional depth to it because she is addressing the fact that is half of her life, as half of her. It just, there's just so much emotion to the song, and yet the song itself is fairly upbeat. What are your thoughts? What was your thought process of ending the playlist with this song?
Yeah, like you said, it's just like a KME mashup of all type of things. Like, last year I was so into Japanese Breakfast. I saw them perform live like 3 times. She had the book come out, Crying in H Mart. I was all over that. I bought that book three times, 3 different ways. And that's mostly my fault because I bought the physical one and I just can't pay attention to reading physical and like, oh, I don't want to carry the book around, so I'll buy a digital copy and just I have it on my phone, and then I just never read it. And so I bought the audiobook version. And then I was like, oh, this is like listening to a podcast. So that was much easier. So noted going forward, audiobooks. But yeah, this is like everything. Like I, at Japanese Breakfast, one of my favorite artists. And then Soyun is featured in it, which there's not a feature in the original song, but she does a section of the verse, like the second or third verse, and she is the front woman of a Korean indie band called Seisonan. And yeah, so she's kind of like, it's a really cool aspect of her, Japanese Breakfast, Michelle's honor, kind of. She stated that that's her kind of her next step is maybe going to Korea and getting more connected and learning the language a little bit better. So I feel like this is just a step in that direction, and she's getting to do the main single off of the last album, to do a Korean version that her family could hear and listen to. You've read the book, right? Her aunt is a big staple character, and maybe she can hear it and understand it properly. And then the other cool thing about that I learned is that she put out that like Yeji, who is another Korean American. She does a lot of like electronic type music. She actually assisted with the Korean translation of the song, and she's like, Yeji is one of my favorite artists as well. And so it's just like these three amazing Korean women artists going collabing together to make like a really cool Korean version of like an already amazing and Be Sweet is already an amazing kind of song, and it does give me kind of like summer vibes. So yeah, this was like the closing, like shutting down the party, and you're I don't know if you got someone's phone number or you just kind of left blank, but you know what, you had a good time. Get in the car, it's nights, you're driving down the freeway back home, and that's kind of like this is like the jam you would be playing in that car ride home.
Beautiful. Absolutely. Just beautiful, man. No, I feel all of that. This is definitely a playlist I'm going to come back to for perpetuity. If rest of the summer, once it gets cold, pause it and then come back to it as soon as it like gets like 75 degrees outside. Just like under sunshine, I'm listening to this album, this playlist. No, man, I can't thank you enough for putting this together. This is definitely a journey of a lot of emotions, but very much a peek into you as a person and your personality and your perspective. And I think sharing music is what it's all about, right? Music is a way for people to come together, whether that's in conflict and friction or whether it's in a shared experience. That's part of being human, right? It's how do you coexist? Coexisting isn't sunshine and roses all the time. Sometimes it's just a little bit of a confusion, and I think this playlist does a nice job of reflecting some of that confusion, but also just a lot of celebration with kind of the way the things are playing out, right? So, hey, KME, God, thanks, man. That's all I got.
Yeah, man, appreciate it. Like, I'll be the first one to tell you that I'm like a sucker for when people give me like either like a challenge or a like, hey, I'm into this. Like, I love when people are like, hey, like, I like this song. Can you give me more stuff that's similar or that I would like based off of this? So, and I love doing themed like mixes and like playlists. So, when you said that, I was like, oh, dude, I'm in. Like, I love it. Like, I had so much. I think I rebuilt this playlist at least 3 or 4 different times, and until I finally got it to like, know what, this is what it was, the simplest answer right here. So yeah, I appreciate you like asking me to do that. And I know you were like, oh, it's a surprise, but no, like I was actually happily surprised when I saw that. So I was like, hell yeah, cool.
No, that's good. It's great to hear. Honestly, I'm just like very overcome right now with just like how amazing the playlist turned out and just like how you spoke about it. So no, I honestly just can't thank you enough for the playlist, for being here, for all of this music. This is like a super jam-packed, like hyperdrive of a episode of just like we're traveling through light space, and yeah, a lot of music just passing us by, but also experiencing it kind of in its fullest, right? So yeah, KME, any like closing thoughts you have for everyone? Any summer inspiration, I suppose, for the SojuTalk Nation Discord server and those on the internet?
I am, yeah, man. It's just basically like you said. It's a good time for music. There's been so many good tracks. It's been hard to keep up. Like there's been so many good tracks, and then especially like other aspects like the Korean hip hop aspect is, Show Me the Money's starting to pick up, and a lot of like the big albums that were anticipated seem to be coming out soon. So it's just a really good time. So I just, sit back and enjoy it. We're only halfway through the summer, so it's definitely a lot more time to enjoy it. And then to take a note, we didn't really discuss the meaning. I There's another reason I put the Rad Museum offline song in there, because I think it's more intentionally like of a dark song that has a really upbeat and fun feel. But the song is essentially saying like, dude, the world is too much. I need to get offline. I need to disconnect, push the power button off, and just get away for a little while. So maybe I'd say take that advice for yourself sometimes, and go out. Wow, what did they say? Go out and touch grass, or
Shout out
maybe
to
sand if you can.
shout out to Joe Cab.
Yeah, touch
phrase,
grass.
right?
Good. Turn the stuff off. Turn the I need to follow that same advice too. Just get out there in nature, whatever you got, whether it's the beach or mountains, hiking, a park, whatever.
Yeah.
Turn that stuff off and enjoy the the nice weather we're having right now. If it's not too hot, right?
Right.
Or maybe early in the morning or late evenings. But yeah, that's all. I think that's all I got for closing thoughts.
No, great closing thoughts to end us on. Yeah, man, just gonna get reconnected back to the outside world, reality, nature. Take a walk around the block. I think that's like the least you can do, right? KME, a pleasure as always. Incredible music discussion. I swear we could do like a 10-hour show. I feel like I've had a run of 10-hour shows. I think thanks to Warren. We just keep going. Eventually we're probably just gonna get the three of us on a show and talk for like 10 hours, like actually. So.
Yeah, I could see that. We get those like rambles going on. I get that too.
For real. And then I don't do any favors by also like rambling. They're just like, yeah, just go, just keep doing it. It's like, I'm not like Doug where like I steer the ship well. I'm just like, I'm also partying on the ship. Like nobody's steering. It's fine. Yeah, KME, great to have you. Yeah, we'll talk again soon. We'll do another one of these. It's always a good time, man.
Hey man, anytime. Like I said, I love coming on here. Like I said, I don't even know how long it was, but it didn't feel long whatsoever. So like I said, it's always an enjoy. I enjoy coming on here and talking with you about music and stuff like that. So appreciate you having me on, man.
Yeah, of course. Anytime, and it's just always good times, man. All right, let's sign out. Thank you everyone for listening to the Soju Sessions on the SojuTalk Nation podcast feed. Subscribe on YouTube, follow on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or wherever you listen to podcasts, and continue the conversation on the SojuTalk K-pop podcast Discord. For KME, K-Music every day, I'm Crispy, and this has been the Soju Sessions.